Coming up, still shut down. 1 week has passed and the government is still at a standstill. What is going on with Congress? A live report straight ahead. And local elections. While the U.S. government is shut down, AU student government is up and running. The polls open tomorrow. We got a preview of the candidates. District Wire News starts right now. Good afternoon, I'm Jade Vakil. Usually gridlock in D.C. refers to the traffic, but this week it's the budget negotiations. Republicans and Democrats still can't agree on what should get funding and what shouldn't. Terrence Stansberry is in the story with more on the shutdown.
Yes, today starts week 2 of the government shutdown with no end in sight. And if no negotiations are made by October 17th, the U.S. could default on all of its debt for the first time ever. One thing the Republicans and Democrats can agree on, defaulting on the national debt would not be a good thing.
I think there's uniform agreement among anyone but people who are willfully ignorant of the issue that defaulting on our debt is catastrophic.
Hedger says a default could crash the global markets. The dispute started over Obamacare. Republicans want it defunded, but the Democrats won't let that happen. But a main facet of Obamacare, the health exchange market, opened the day the government shut down last week.
Waiting till after the government is shut down and then suddenly reaching a conclusion that there's an interest in a conversation is at best awkward, and it's a little bit difficult to lend it a great deal of credibility.
In the meantime, the city of D.C. will lose about $150 million every day of the shutdown. Tourists are still being greeted by these shutdown signs on the mall, every monument, and every museum. Furloughed workers may have some positive news, though. The House voted unanimously to pay all furloughed workers retroactively. The Senate still needs to approve this measure, but it would relieve almost 1 million federal workers who are out of work during the shutdown. But until the October 17th deadline on the default, Hedger says negotiation conversations are vital.
You cannot be the greatest country in the world if you are a deadbeat. I mean, we would be no better than a father who doesn't pay child support. When you have an obligation, you keep it. And I refuse to believe that the United States is a deadbeat dad.
The White House said this morning a short-term agreement is more likely to be reached than a long-term solution in the next 10 days. Back to Jade at the desk.
Thanks, Taryn. Life doesn't have to be all bad for those federal workers who are deemed non-essential. Restaurants, cafes, and bars all over the city are offering special shutdown deals. All you need is a government ID to enter a world of free donuts, happy hour specials, discounts, and complimentary government cheese pizzas. Many deals are only while supplies last, so if you plan on eating your way through the shutdown, be sure to call ahead. Navy officials are in the process of determining the fate of Navy Yard Building 197 after last month's shooting. The construction company plans to change the feel of the building while making repairs in order to minimize the psychological and emotional toll felt by the returning workers. At the same time, in Newtown, Connecticut, residents voted on Saturday to approve a measure to tear down and rebuild a Sandy Hook Elementary School for the same reason, after last year's tragic shooting. The name of Washington, D.C.'s NFL team is once again being debated. A Native American tribe held a rally today about the Redskins' controversial name. Sydney Kashiwagi has more.
Members from the Oneida Indian Tribe, lawmakers, and activists held a symposium today at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Georgetown to raise awareness about Washington, D.C.'s pro football team, the Washington Redskins' offensive name and mascot that they say needs to be changed. The symposium date was set as National Pro Football Team owners began arriving at the hotel for a meeting tomorrow. Oneida Indian Tribe leader Ray Halliburton says that his tribe and other Native American tribes are tired of having their culture and image degraded by the Redskins.
If you're changing the name, you're not changing the team, and that's one of the really important things today.
But Redskins owner Dan Snyder has already vowed to never change the team's name. And Redskins fans say they will continue to support their team.
Well, my purpose for being here today is we need to adapt, we need to evolve, and I'd like to get beyond this issue forever, just put it to bed and start out anew.
Earlier this year, the Oneidas gave $10,000 to a high school in New Jersey to change its nickname from the Redskins to the Hawkeyes. By the end of the symposium, they hope that their message will be heard loud and clear to the NFL team owners. Reporting for District Wire News, I'm Sydney Kashiwagi.
A tornado watch is threatening the D.C. area until about 5 tonight. The National Weather Service says thunderstorms are moving 50 miles per hour through the area and could produce tornadoes. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Karen is weakening despite threatening the Gulf Coast as a potential hurricane throughout the weekend. The storm downgraded to a low-pressure area on Sunday and is expected to move toward Maryland. The National Weather Service has issued a flood advisory for today from 2 to 11 in the morning for the Mid-Atlantic region. After successfully carrying out 2 commando raids in North Africa on Sunday, an al-Qaeda leader who was charged with 2 U.S. embassy attacks in 1998 was captured in the Libyan raid. The Libyan government is asking the U.S. to explain the kidnapping of its citizens. UN inspectors are beginning to disarm and destroy Syria's supply of chemical weapons following negotiations between Syrian, Russian, and U.S. diplomats. Secretary of State John Kerry says Syrian President Bashar al-Assad deserved credit for complying and destroying his country's chemical stronghold. Metro is investigating the cause of an explosion in a Metro tunnel that killed a contractor. 2 other Metro employees are also in stable condition after the incident on Sunday morning. The explosion happened near the Union Station platform on the Red Line during track work. Initial reports are saying the explosion and following fire were caused by a welding accident in the tunnel. Parts of the Red Line were closed down last weekend to the public for Metro track work. Campaigning for AU student government is heating up the campus this week, with elections coming up on Tuesday. Candidates are trying to get their message out to the school in as many ways as possible. Sarah Weber has more.
AU has been listed in the top 10 most politically active schools in the U.S. for years, so one can only imagine how intense campaigning can be. After going through nomination convention last week, students started to think of a campaign strategy.
People use Facebook a lot, they use YouTube. I've seen campaign buttons, shirts, stickers, chalkings, you name it. People just kind of get their name out, make sure that people know who they are, what they're running for, what they stand for.
Positions are open to students in all years at AU, from first semester freshmen to seniors who have already been involved in student government. The most intense race is between freshmen who want to earn one of 5 seats in the class of 2017 Senate and the class of 2017 Council.
The freshman race, you can see 30 people run for 5 positions sometimes. I think this year it's a lot. And then you have the class council for the freshmen, and that also gets really competitive, usually about 20 people running for those 5 positions.
Many of those who win Senate seats in their freshman year go on to higher positions within the student government.
I want to be involved in as many activities as I possibly can throughout my 4 years here, and I think that student government is one of the things that I want to stick with because it has so many really positive effects for everyone on campus.
Spots in this election include the Senate for the class of 2017 and 2016, the Senate for each school within AU, and President, Vice President, Secretary, and Treasurer of the class of 2017 Council. Polls are open Tuesday at 9 a.m. and will close at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. I'm Sarah Weber for District Wire News.
AU is celebrating National Coming Out Day with its 3rd annual Coming Out Monologues. Students and faculty will be sharing stories of their coming out experiences and identity discovery. The event will be held at 8 o'clock at night on Wednesday, October 9th in the Perch. And consumers across the country are boycotting Barilla pasta. At a press conference last week, Chairman Guido Barilla made a comment that offended the gay community and its supporters. Joni Agronin has more.
Barilla pasta, a consumer favorite, is known for its romantic and family-centered advertisements. At a recent press conference, Chairman Guido Barilla said that the company would never consider using a same-sex couple in its commercials. He says Barilla values the sacred traditional family.
One of the things that myself and my husband do is that we actually don't spend money in places that don't support our lifestyles.
Barilla continued to say that if members of the gay community were unhappy with this, they were free to eat someone else's pasta. He has since apologized.
I would like to think that as a CEO of a large company, you would take into account the implications that making a political statement like that would have on your company.
Food is actually a big part of obviously our lives because we like to eat, but we won't order Domino's, we don't do Papa John's, so we actually keep a list in our house of where we can shop and where we shouldn't be supporting. So when the Barilla pasta thing kind of came out in the news, it's just added to our list and we just won't buy that pasta anymore.
Competitor Bertolli Pasta jumped at the opportunity to make their own political statement, posting a gay-friendly ad on its Facebook page stating, "Sauce for all." Reporting for District Wire News, I'm Joni Agronin.
Coming up, DC Inc. We'll tell all about the new regulations if you want to get a tattoo in the District of Columbia. You might be surprised that's not as easy as you think. And fad diets. Can you imagine eating like the cavemen did? Some students are trying it and other unusual diets. We'll explain after the break.